Let's just move on to issues in Zimbabwe because we're getting an update shortly on how that market has fared for the week. And overall, just looking at some of the activity we have seen, the industrial index is sitting up by 0.7% yesterday and down by 1.2% today. Looking at the mining index, 65.9, almost 66 for the day. I think I was reading the industrial index there, but the mining index was flat yesterday and sitting down by 1.25% as it stands right now. We are expecting some news on Rio Zim's restructuring plans for its debt. So that, of course, is hopefully coming through soon. So the market waiting on that. As I said, that's the industrial index. It was up by 0.7% yesterday and is sitting flat as it stands at around 185 rupees. Just looking at some of the stocks that have been in focus this week. The market really moving on the back of big cap activity. InScore continues to rise. It was up by around 10% as it stood yesterday. And of course, with the likes of Hippo continues to head higher. OK Zimbabwe making some marginal gains there. Nat Foods, an interesting one given the Tiger Brands tie-up there. So seeing another jump and sitting in fact at a new high, 208 cents is where it stood. Let's get some commentary on how the markets are faring right now. Arnold Dhlamini, stockbroker at BancABC, is standing by on the line from Zimbabwe. Arnold, thanks for joining me today. So, of course, a slow start when it comes to volumes for the Zimbabwean market post the Easter break. But take us through what stood out for you and which stocks really stood out and shone this week.
Okay, thank you, Samantha. I think what we've seen is obviously coming out of a holiday and expected. The rise has been quite slow, but we've seen the market starting to slowly pick up again. And mainly, again, I think the drive has been a mix in the big caps. Some of them have been coming off, I think, cooling off from the heat. I think Econet taking a knock there. Coming off for the day, I think 5.0, it came down around about 1.49 today, and overall for the week it came down 1.5 cents. And Delta, on the other hand, picked up 0.5 cents. And what we're seeing, literally, I think in terms of the movement, I think for now, I think it's because of the week, which was made up of 4 days. We haven't seen much moving, so we expect more to come through, I think, as we go into the other week. And then also looking at the mid caps, I think we're starting to see an improvement in terms of the values there. It looks like investors are starting to look at those, and we're seeing some sort of dilution in terms of the size. I think the dominant companies are starting to shade off in terms of their strength as the mid caps are starting to move up as well.
Yeah. Let's talk about the retail space, because that's certainly a strong indication of what you're seeing in the domestic economy. I mean, if you look at the last 90 days, True is up almost 80%, Edgar's gaining 63%, OK Zimbabwe, and that really the biggest retailer by market cap, up by 30%. So there's a lot of buying in the retail space. That positioning for good times to come when it comes to retail sales in the economy?
I think generally, I think what's coming up is the hype. I think if you look at the economy currently, I think we seem to be riding on a wave of quite positive information coming through the market. I think if you look at even at the referendum that came through just recently, I think, and also in terms of announcements by companies, you're starting to see more positive information coming through and more investment coming through. I think it's pretty much looking at the future in terms of what the market expects. And retail plays a strong position in terms of that section. I think it's also trying to link up with the market. I think we've seen a lot of credit coming into the market, an extension to the consumers. And that has increased also in terms of the buy-in. And investors are looking at that in terms of the revenues also starting to go up. Going further, and also for K, you find the conversion by Investec. I think that's also another positive and a plus. They converted their debt into their loan into equity. So we're starting to see pretty much a strong positive sort of liking for the local stocks.
So that's Investec there, looking at equity. And which company did you say there?
It's Investec.
Yeah, investing in which company?
It's OK. They are the major shareholder in OK, Zimbabwe.
So there we go, South African investors, and we know the Zimbabwe South Africa Investor Conference was held earlier this week. And I spoke to Kingdom Financial Holdings, and of course now known as AfriAsia Kingdom Financial Holdings, talking about stability in the banking sector. What are your views right now on the recapitalization that still needs to take place to reach that $100 million mark? And of course, that's seen as quite a high hurdle for many domestic banks. Do you think that the banks are on the recovery trend right now?
I think for as long as we're expecting a jump in the retail and all the activity in the economy, I think the banking sector thrives on all the activity that is in the economy. They are central to all transactions. However, having said that, I think given the current position of the banks and also the difficulty of the economy, I think it's pretty much quite a hard sort of hurdle to handle. But however, I think the Reserve Bank, the central bank, has come in and also deferred in terms of the deadlines. So they've been pushed further in terms of the deadline when to meet these. So as the economy turns, we expect the banks to also maybe thrive on getting up to scratch with these limits that are required. Mm-hmm. But however, a lot of capital is required for this recapitalization in terms of the banks.
Yeah, and AfriAsia Kingdom basically saying that they would potentially look at a merger with another bank, or potentially look to be absorbed within another bank if it means they have to do that to reach that capital requirement. Last story that I'd just like to touch on with you is Zim's restructuring of its debt. What do we know about that? What does that mean for the company's future going forward now that it does have more clarity around sorting out its debt pile?
I think for Rio, I think the biggest hurdle they have right now, the company has, is the crunch on its margins, I think, which is coming from the interest burden. So it's pretty much trying to dilute it a bit down and pretty much open up the margins, and also trying to safeguard its going concern crisis in terms of the positioning of the company. Meanwhile, on the resources side, I think it's doing fairly well. I think the gold prices are starting to look, though they're stable, they expect it to firm up given other crises happening in the world.